YouTube thing. Not that it's going to matter because there's probably not going to watch anyone's going to watch this one anyway because I haven't
told anyone
properly. Yeah,
tit.
but
Can you swear on this one?
yeah.
I'm so
Oh, we can swear as much as you
Yeah.
want.
really. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Martin dropped a swear. Martin dropped a swear on the last one. I didn't.
You what?
You dropped a swear on the last podcast, and
I
I
said
didn't.
bloody or
You said a
bugger.
fuck.
No, not on the one we just
You
done.
did.
No, I didn't.
You did. You let one slip out.
Did I?
Yeah, and you let it slip out, and I went, yes.
Oh no, really?
Oh, for fuck.
I'm
Where
gonna have
was
to
it?
listen to
Yeah.
it all the way.
I think you did. Now I'm questioning myself.
I dropped a. I was very conscious that I dropped a bugger or a bloody or
You
something
dropped
like
a
that.
bloody
Yeah. Alex Brindley said cunt once on Night Radio, so we're not having this at all.
remember.
And he was quite proud of it as well. So, yeah, and it's only a podcast. It's not like it's been broadcast out there.
No,
Anyway, so
it's fine. And people that listen to us know what they're getting. They know what they're here for.
not for that one.
Not for here. But no, you were talking about the gender neutral thing.
Yeah,
when you did
it was
the
a podcast
start thing.
on BBC Sounds, and I think it is quite selfish because the parents were just the mum wouldn't even tell her mum the sex of the baby,
Yeah.
and
Oh, they wouldn't tell the grandma.
no,
You'd think the
So-
grandma
so-
would figure out after.
so leaving the baby in the grandma's care, she
Yeah.
couldn't change it.
Oh, so it wasn't even.
She wasn't allowed to
right.
like, and then the grandma got on board with it and was like, actually, you know, at first it was difficult, but now I'm gonna
Yeah.
respect them for it. But it's just like, well, what if the nappy needs changing?
Yeah, yeah.
But you're just like, I don't want you to see the sex of the baby, so. I get it. Just feels selfish on a lot of levels.
If you turn around and said that you were going to bring your child up as a dog, your child would be taken off you fucking rapidly. As it's I don't understand where at some point people don't go, sorry, these people aren't mentally stable enough to look after a child.
Yeah, apparently they did get that response, and I'm all for, you know, being sort of gender neutral to an extent. Like I don't think you need pink and blue and whatnot, but at the same time, like I would get the conventional boys and girls toys and just put them in a room and then just let them play with whatever they
Just
want to
play
play
with
with, you know.
whatever's going on,
Like
But see, this is the problem with that. And what the problem I have is the fact that you're going to find 90% of it will sort itself out.
yeah,
And I don't believe gender is a social construct. I've never gone out of my way to shake Arthur and tell him he's a boy.
yeah.
He wanted, as soon as he like a toy car came across his way, and even like I've never been into farms and stuff like that. Loves tractors, loves them.
Yeah.
It's not that shit from me. I hate farms. I hate
Yeah,
gardening. Don't even cut my back grass.
You don't. It's a fucking state.
It
out
is.
there. It's just- you're lucky it's dark this time.
Those guns never open.
I would be so offended, I'm sure.
And
Robin Williams jumped out of the fucking thing at one point.
He was really upset about it. Never seen him again. But yeah, I just don't know what I'm going to say.
It's
You've lost
unnecessary. Kids will find that.
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's
You play with whatever you want to play
yeah.
with.
I find it all crazy. I find a lot of this sort of thing crazy now. I was saying half for a joke. I've realised how much of a bell end I am over the past couple of weeks
Why?
because
You'll agree with him when he tells you.
yeah.
Exciting.
I'm pretty down on the whole like Extinction Rebellion thing. Yeah,
Down for it or
their
against
group
it?
pretty down against it.
Okay, right.
Like I'm not a climate change denier. I know there's changes in our climate. I know we should do something about air pollution and might make things better. Don't think the way they're going about it does anything good at all. I've cut 50% of the meat out of my diet, not because I want to help the human race, because I want to be able to turn around to those people and say, I'm doing more than you're doing,
I'm
and I
doing
don't
my
believe
bit."
in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I often wonder, would I sort of participate in it? But I think anything that's mass, I'm a bit like, I don't like to get involved in because I think it's that mass mentality can take over and then weird stuff happens. So I'd much rather sort of keep a rational head. But no, I mean, I'm I don't deny climate change, and I know that people need to do their bit, but I probably wouldn't go about it.
No, I've done
the same way. Yeah.
We're gonna go pretty like deep on the Extinction Rebellion thing with the podcast I do with Stuart McFall.
Stop advertising your other women on my fucking show.
Well, he'll invite you around for dinner, won't he, at some point, I imagine. And so
the listeners on here don't understand that, but basically, Lee is being a spiteful bitch.
The laughter turns to tears.
You're tearing my heart.
You're tearing me apart, Martin.
I will.
Where am I?
You're throwing ahead to climate
I was sick.
change.
I've been sick most of the week. A bit of holy flu.
That's because you don't believe in Extinction Rebellion.
Or vaccines. So no.
What?
You're crossing over your mental cases here.
So I've spent like a couple of days to the point where I had to back out of it because it got me quite upset and angry. Of like looking into your man, Roger, but I forgot his surname. Roger Helmy.
The guy from Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah, the founder of it.
Okay.
And he's mental, like a real mental case.
You were saying he's got like cult tendencies.
Yeah. I find no different to a David Icke or any of those. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I probably trust Icke a little bit more. But one of the interviews I saw with him, like, within 40 seconds, he compared himself with Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and said, "Oh, well, obviously people are going to die in my movement. You know, because things have to for revolutions."
That's very dystopian character.
Well, it's not very Extinction Rebellion. It seems that they're all about peaceful.
But that's not the left anymore, though, is it? Or the far left?
Calm yourself.
No,
there is no far left, you fanny.
They're far left.
Who, Extinction Rebellion?
Yeah, of course they are. If you're willing to try and take down government, which is what that's what the point of them is, then what do you consider far left?
Well, how many of the people that actually take part in these protests think that the point is to take down government?
Glad you asked, Mark, because this is an interesting thing about it.
Oh God, go on.
They pay them.
They pay who?
If you sign up for Extinction Rebellion, you get paid to go and demonstrate.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. If they
I had no idea about that.
No, no one does. They put it as
it's all shit.
No one does. I made it up.
They put it as they pay expenses.
A hashtag.
They pay what? Sorry.
To pay expenses.
Oh right.
So
Okay. Yeah.
But I'd be really interested to know, and I can't find this out, whether if we decided to go and demonstrate with them, what our expenses
whether
would be.
they'd fly us to England.
But I wonder what Roger's expenses are.
And what plane trips around the world.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And as soon as the money thing came into it, I thought, well, it's obvious why you can get people, because the whole thing was put across that we want anyone to be able to demonstrate for us. We don't want you have to happen to be privileged and comfortable to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So that means what you could be is destitute and broke.
Yeah.
And they will pay you to come and sit down for them.
Yeah.
That's dangerous at that point, because that means you can buy yourself a small army.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
No. I think it's odd. It's just odd. It's an odd thing. You know, you think of people that are demonstrating doing something because they are passionate about it and they believe in it.
But they're not paying everyone. Like, there's fucking thousands of them fuckers down there.
The woman.
How much are they paying them?
I don't know. It was put down as expenses, living expenses.
Right.
So it's heavily funded. The whole thing.
Oh no, of course it's heavily funded. Yeah. Because it wouldn't have so much of attraction if it didn't have. Money behind it.
That's the other thing I find crazy about it, is the fact that it seems to have spread over what. I think when I was looking at the ats for the various tick marked Twitter
the
accounts. They spanned 11 countries or something like that. It was huge.
Yeah.
And you just think, have you done that in 2 years?
I tell you how they've done it, Lee. George Soros.
That's Greta.
Just winding him up. Okay. I don't even really know who George Soros is, but it's just someone who likes to complain about.
Oh right, okay.
I have no fucking clue.
He owns Media Matters.
Okay.
But anyway, less of that.
Yeah.
Speaking of mass
things,
brawls, moving on to Joker.
Yeah.
Is that where you?
That's where I was going with it.
Right, nice.
Because we talked about it last week,
Yeah.
and you came to the cinema when we were going to watch it, and you went to
Yeah.
watch it again the other day.
How cool.
What did you think?
I really liked it. I would go watch it a third time.
Yeah.
But it's because there's something about the Joker character, and I'm sure many people say this, but there's really something about it that properly fascinates me to a point of where I'm like, is it a bit dangerous to be that like absorbed with a character? But I think I don't know. There's something about that character that really draws me in.
I totally agree.
Is it the victimhood of it all? Because I was thinking about this, and when I wasn't like affected by watching it, I thought it was a really good film, and you can get into the not the mindset of Joker, but into the mindset of the victimhood of him and how he's been.
You can almost empathise with him.
You can empathise with him, and it was the same thing that left me. You know, when I watched Dead Man's Shoes, that did affect me, and it's because the whole time you were sympathising with the brother, and then when you find out what happens to the brother, you're like, oh shit. And so I don't know whether that's like one of the things, because they play the whole film on, first of all, he's a victim because he's like just one of society's people that gets walked over, and then it goes a bit deeper and you realise that actually he's got mental health issues and the system's letting him down, and so there's just this continuous, not cycle, but like snowballing of things that you have to see, end up sympathising with them about, and yeah, I don't know if that's the thing that stays with you about it.
You can see, and I was thinking this to myself, and I was like, is it okay to think that? But you can see why someone would snap.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't want someone to snap and go off, killing people, but 100% you could see why someone would snap. And people have been saying that the Joker character is like a narcissist, like he pities himself so much.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree that he is a narcissist, but in that build up, why wouldn't you have self-pity with he got beat up a lot and cheated on by his work colleague and fired and stuff. So when they're like, oh, he's such a narcissist, he's so narcissistic, I'm like, well, in work today, I've been like, oh, woe is me, and I haven't been beaten up,
feel sorry for themselves. Yeah, of course.
And I think that's, again, the thing that you can make the connection with, because no matter how good you think your life is, there's always times where, and it always happens like in the space for a week, where you'll go, oh God, work's been terrible, and oh Jesus, I've just got this gas bill and this and this.
Pay for petrol.
And you can't pay for petrol. Yeah. So I think you always get that. That always happens in little short bursts in life, and for some people it happens in bigger bursts, and that's probably where they'll get more affected. And so if they're saying, people who walk out of that film thinking, oh, I think I'm Joker, or something. It's because maybe they've just had a shit life for a while.
Yeah, I mean, everyone.
But it's an easy thing to play.
You always get everyone's watched a film and they've walked out of the cinema feeling a bit cooler.
I have to say, I've never smoked. I've smoked when I was drunk just to try it.
Yeah.
But my God, does Joaquin Phoenix make smoking incredibly sexy in that film? That's all I was thinking all the way through. I was just like, it's a massive promotion for smoking. I was like, he's got a cigarette when we left.
Mangled orange fingers.
Yeah, I didn't like that in the last scene. Yeah.
Because I knew he got into the character and he'd lost weight and everything. I was like, has he trimmed his fingernails down that far? It's fucking horrid.
But I saw a thing talk about Joker saying, casting Joaquin Phoenix, they shouldn't have made the Joker sexy. That confused me. Is Joaquin Phoenix sexy?
I went through a phase of I really fancied Joaquin Phoenix, and I watched.
His face is melting.
I know. I don't know what it was. I think it was a film called Quills that did it for me, and then I just went through all his films on IMDb.
Right.
I do it with strange people. I did it with Elijah Wood.
Right. Oh, have you seen Maniac?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Is Elijah Wood sexy?
Well, I saw Lord of the Rings and just fell in love with his gigantic blue eyes. No, my friends my friends have always said that I have this. I like I didn't fancy Legolas or Orlando Bloom.
Yeah,
It's all about Frodo, and then Joaquin Phoenix. Heath Ledger was probably the most mainstream one, but
Sure.
that was after he was the Joker.
Took me
Like,
2 films to realise Orlando Bloom was male.
I like that.
Um,
That would be your little caveat. There you go. I did fancy Heath Ledger, but after he died. So
Oh
it was
no!
only like,
No, actually, I did fancy him in A Knight's Tale.
right. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty like
Very
standard
conventional,
Hollywood
yeah.
kind of. Yeah.
But I didn't think he was sexy as the Joker. It was only the certain scenes that made him look sexy. So the
Okay.
slow motion when he's smoking and the Full Monty song comes on in the background, you know, and the lift closes and then he starts dancing. I was like,
Mhm.
that's pretty sexy.
Yeah.
But no, but none of the rest of it. It was horrible. Like watching his shoulders work.
Yeah.
That
I
really.
thought that bit where
That was
one
a
of his
good
shoulder
sex
plates looked
scene.
like it popped.
Yeah, I know. Not
Um,
very nice.
It was really clever though, because I think or I mentioned this last week when we were here last week. It was quite clever because his body physically changed as his personality came through, as the Joker's personality came through, and so that like little bit where his shoulder blade looked like it popped out and there was a bone coming through. It was kind of like that wasn't there before when he was Arthur, but now it's quite obvious that switch has gone and the Joker's come through. That's come out, and it reminded me of James McAvoy in Split when
I have
You've seen
seen
it.
Split, but I don't remember. But I'm just thinking, all I think of the memes now
You're
is
right.
memes
Hi,
when
Trisha.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
did something
Um,
drunk,
It
like
was
bad on a
Splice I
drunk
was
night.
thinking of last week.
Oh, that's totally different.
Yeah, that's why I got confused.
So there's a bit in it where in the film they keep talking about the different personalities, keep talking about like, oh, the Beast will be coming and the Beast is coming, and so finally you get to see the Beast, and it's still James McAvoy, but he changes his body like structure
Yeah.
to seem bigger and
Yeah.
like he's more beast-like, and it's like, fuck it, there's no CG there. It's just
Impressive, yeah.
he's been holding himself the whole film, and then all of a sudden he's brought this big sort of frame out, and it kind of reminded me of Joaquin Phoenix when the Joker bit came through. It's almost like this sort of deformality sort of came about, and you realise actually this is a completely new character that's coming
Yeah.
out now,
That was
which is very cleverly done.
very good point. That, yeah. There were certain aspects. My friend went to see it, and he didn't like it at all. He said it was too pretentious, and there were certain scenes that I
think
didn't.
it's too stupid.
But there's only one scene that I thought it didn't sit right with me, but I understood why it was there. But after he'd shot the 3 guys on the train and then he runs to the bathroom, I loved the way he ran. Thought that was so erratic.
Yeah.
Though he's
Really
running like he's
brilliant.
still got the clown shoes on.
Brilliant,
Yeah.
yeah. But when he went into the bathroom and then did the dance,
Yeah.
for me, I understood why he was doing it, and that was like a sequence that grew throughout the film.
Yeah.
But it just didn't fit right at that
That early
moment.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just at that moment, I just thought, oh, it's not.
But isn't that more of a scene where like, you don't know why this is happening, but we're going to tell you later?
Could be. I
Yeah,
just
it's-
thought it could have been placed somewhere a bit more natural,
Yeah.
maybe.
If it had been as the character had developed on a little bit, because it was almost like a sort of celebration or like a release that he had, and I find whenever he was doing those sorts of dance moves, it was like an adrenaline
Yeah,
release.
true,
It's his
true.
own way of doing it, and so I don't know whether that was maybe that first scene in that toilet is the start of what became, because it's when he first snapped and actually did something about all these bullies.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did kind of go on a little bit, but then I was technically as well, like those dance moves and the ones on the steps and things reminded me of there's a musician called Aphex Twin. He's got a music video, and there's like a character in that, and that does very similar sort of dance scenes. Well, the character in that's a monster, and so I didn't know if they'd taken sort of like inspiration from like that sort of thing where you've got this monster celebrating who he is
They
instead of
took inspiration from an old black and white sort of, I can't remember the name, but it was something about a shoe, the dance was, and I watched it, and it must have been around the time of like, was it Gina Rod?
Ginger Rogers.
Ginger
and Fred
Rogers,
Astaire,
sorry,
yeah.
yeah. So that sort of dance time, and watching the video, you can
Yeah.
see it. It's really interesting to watch the two
Okay.
being so similar. But yeah, and a random thing, the blood, I found really like it was sort of glittery.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. Yeah,
And
I
it was
thought I was
such a small
imagining that.
thing,
Actually.
but I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
it's got a good effect. That
Yeah.
you know,
It's like glassy.
yeah,
Yeah.
Do you think that was like only because that when I've seen something like that before, it's been on like Sin City, where they make the blood kind of like that to make it a little bit comic book esque.
Yeah,
Like it's been
potentially.
illustrated, and I didn't
Maybe,
know whether it was
maybe.
that sort of like little nod to the fact that it was
Mm.
a comic book character that. Thing. I mean, they're probably looking far too much into it because at the same time you kind of like what I'm thinking of is he's got the blood in his face after he stove that guy's
that's
head in
the
against
one
the wall.
I'm thinking of. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it just they had to do that because the whole like the grading of the whole film was quite dark. It was very contrasty, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So
they've done it like they did with the Wizard of Oz and Dorothy's shoes.
Yeah.
Make it really bright red.
Well, no, the thing is, I think if you didn't have that sort of sparkle to it,
Yeah.
it would just
Still
look like
be
black fluid.
Mm.
Okay, I
rather
see.
than
Yeah,
being
yeah,
blood.
Yeah. I loved it, and I would love it. Left me really wanting to see more of him as the Joker.
Yes,
Joker,
And then when
absolutely.
you said, in terms of age, because obviously we see Bruce as a young boy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When you said, oh, he could play inspiration for a future Joker,
Mhm.
it made me really sad because I was like, I want to see him in full Joker mode.
I think he's
Yeah.
younger than.
What were you saying? You think he's like our age?
I think he's younger
He's around
than us.
40, I think.
Yeah, but I think in that film, I think he's supposed to be in his 20s.
I guess you could justify him looking haggard, obviously, with his
Yeah.
life.
Just the way he kept being referred to, people referring to him as young man and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
The age of his mother adopting a child when she did
He's like
Would
30
have
years back. or
hit him
something.
in the sort of mid to late 20s sort of
Mm.
thing. So I don't think there's no reason why if that isn't how they're going to work it, you couldn't have then a 30-year-old Batman and a 45-year-old Joker.
Joker,
Would
yeah.
probably be the
Mhm.
sort of area.
Oh, I hope they do that. It
That would
made
be
me
good.
want to read The Killing Joke. I read
Yeah.
it years and years
Yeah,
ago, and
yeah, yeah.
I can't remember it, so I'd quite like
Yeah.
to read that again.
That would be good. I love a bit of Alan Moore as well.
Mm.
He's fantastic,
Yeah.
and he looks like a fucking wizard.
I don't understand why they just don't make some of those graphic novels films.
Right.
Why when someone gets the thing to make a Batman film, why doesn't someone just make the Killing Joke Batman
Apparently,
film?
they didn't like how unrealistic it was about him falling into like a vat of toxic
Okay.
waste. So that's
And
why
been done,
they
isn't it?
they had a lot of freedom on this one.
Oh, I don't just mean this one,
Oh,
but
right,
like, you know,
sorry.
like
In a
the
lot of
Justice
them as well.
League
Generally,
and
yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Like instead of making somebody make this horrible film, why don't they just take one of the like he'd be like Superman because Batman vs Superman had Doomsday in it, didn't it? Yeah, it did have
I think so.
Doomsday in it.
I fell asleep during it.
The big monster.
I don't know. I was absolutely zonked out.
Well, bits of Batman versus Superman
Mhm.
were Superman Doomsday, where
Right, okay.
Superman's killed by Doomsday.
Doomsday.
And I don't understand why they just didn't make Doomsday. If they wanted, if they threw those elements in,
Yeah.
you just rip Wonder Woman and Batman out and make that film.
Mm.
I don't know who this person is, but yes, I agree.
Nasty alien man that could kill Superman.
Ah, yes, the Doomsday is a bit catchier.
Yeah.
I don't know. Imagine being like just a really nice guy who worked in a bank and it's like name Doomsday. My parents named me that. I think they expected bigger things of me. But
Sorry, Keith, you're going to have to be a supervillain.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to.
Plus, it would open it out for Batman vs Judge Dredd, which I think is it's a great graphic novel. And if they use the guy who played Dredd in Dredd,
Yeah.
and then make any other person Batman that they want, because I'm not convinced about. We'll see how Robin Pattinson gets
yeah.
on. But yeah, that was a good
I'm
story.
dubious about that film, and I'm usually the first person to give these things a go.
Yeah.
Like I gave Batfleck all the chances, but I'm dubious about this one. It seems odd. And
Did
Pattinson
you just
seems-
call him Batfleck?
Yeah.
I didn't ask you to leave your own house. Ever fucking portmanteau in front of me again?
He seems a bit anemic to be Batman as well.
Yeah, I'm assuming he'll undergo like a pretty.
Steroids, hopefully.
We'll do that Hollywood 12-week program. Won't you?
Yeah.
That's
Turn
what-
Jake Gyllenhaal
Get an
into the boxer.
inflatable pet.
That's
sort of
what
joke
Batfleck must have done.
Yeah,
He
was-
must have
he
been on
was
all of
huge.
Mexico.
shop.
All of it.
He was massive, wasn't he?
Yeah, huge.
Jesus Christ.
Have you seen To Die For? That's an early Joaquin Phoenix film.
No, I
He
don't
was
think
about
so.
19, I think. It's got Nicole Kidman in it. I think
No.
that was
Yeah.
the first film that sort of.
Is that the one where she plays the TV presenter?
Yeah, the weather
Yeah.
person. Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
the
no,
one
that-
I
that-
have
that-
seen that.
that
yeah.
was the first one that got me hooked on Joaquin Phoenix, and then it led to
Right.
Quills. Yeah.
Is that the one where she works her way up by killing people?
Yes, she kills her husband, I
Yeah.
think, and they have mafia ties or something like
Yeah.
that. But it's pretty good on dark comedy sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is good though.
Mm,
I
haven't watched
haven't
it in
seen
a while.
that in years.
Yeah. But yeah, what I thought, I was very impressed with Joaquin Phoenix because, I mean, I know everyone says that no one can top Heath Ledger's performance, and I loved that performance. And I was really chuffed that he did something so different that was actually really, really good.
Mhm.
Because Suicide Squad was just a mess.
It was bloody awful.
Oh,
Terrible
it was
film.
awful. I was just like,
Yeah.
what is happening? It was like The Room, you know,
Yeah,
plot
Well-
lines that just went into nowhere. Do you know what I mean?
what I did find good, and I use this term loosely to try and pick a good thing about Suicide Squad, is that Jared Leto's Joker is the closest I've found to looking like what the inspiration for the Joker was. The man with
Really?
was it the man who can't stop smiling or something like that?
Yeah.
And then the actual
It's all black and white film.
the actual face on that is the closest to Jared Leto's Joker
Mm.
from all it. And I don't know whether they did that on purpose. I imagine they would have because it's very like similar. It's really creepy.
I didn't like the scars. With him, I didn't. The idea of the sort of Chelsea smile being cut in just didn't sit with me. I don't.
Is this with Heath Ledger?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
I hated the lip smacking as well. People loved
Ooh,
all
yeah,
that.
That is quite scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but people loved all that.
Oh
Bit
yeah,
fair.
no, I
Oh,
hate
all
that
that.
noise.
Yeah.
Slobbering.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I always just found the Joker should be a bit more debonair than all that.
well, that's why I thought Jared Leto, he was a bit too aggressive. He was a bit too mental and a bit
Yeah.
too aggressive. And I understand he is
Mhm.
crazy, but it was.
I
he
think
didn't have
if
that
he does another
suave-
film, that'll be the next one. I think he'll have that coolness about him.
Mm,
Who Leto?
Oh, sorry, no, sorry, I was thinking Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, Leto I was saying was
Yeah,
just a
sorry.
bit too
He's a
much.
bit too much. I didn't like the metal teeth either.
Well, he was just Jared Leto with Joker paint on.
Mm.
I didn't like all the tattoos.
No.
That was all too on the nose.
Mm.
But there was a theory about that as well, that he wasn't the Joker. I don't know,
Right,
a
okay.
fan theory about
That
it.
it's a copycat.
Yeah,
something.
because
Oh.
you just said, was it the Killing Joke that Joker kills Robin?
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Well, the
Breaks his fucking neck or back or something.
Yeah, it's horrible.
yeah. I can't remember who it was. Oh, because there's another version of that where he doesn't kill him, and he just keeps him and tortures him, and he ends up becoming a bad guy, and he becomes like another Joker,
Oh, okay.
Oh,
and
okay.
but he's got a J tattooed on his cheek.
So the idea is it could have been Robin.
Yeah.
Right.
That I'd be yeah.
Oh.
We'll never know because it was a terrible film,
Yeah.
and they're never going to make new ones.
Yeah.
Bugger.
I did like I do really rate Margot Robbie as an actor. I thought she did pretty good as Harley Quinn.
Yeah, it was alright. She was okay.
But then I saw the trailer for Birds of Prey and was just like,
Yeah, it looks
I
a bit
wasn't drawn in by it.
half-assed. That.
So, well, the problem with we had this conversation last week about Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
I don't think in the current climate you could have Harley Quinn as a proper character.
Because of
She'd
the
have to
feminist
be a
movement.
strong
She's
female
meant to have had
character
to
and
have
like
shy
role
kicked
model
out
in
of
a
her
film.
Beast, subordinate.
Yeah, she's
and
not. She's a mentally and physically abused like partner essentially. No, but you stick that in the next Joker film, you'll see some problems.
I know.
Angelina Jolie in Girl Interrupted is probably the best Harley Quinn we've never had.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
very good shout.
That
Yeah,
would have been-
yeah. It's a shame really because if people are intelligent, should be intelligent enough to appreciate that it's a character.
It's people that aren't intelligent. They go, no, it has to stop because it makes me feel sad.
Well, I think, yeah, I
It's
mean,
a film.
I think with some of these things as well, because all this stuff's got so like mainstream and big budgets and big expectations, you can't expect everyone going to watch the film to know the backstories in the comic books. In some ways, so if you go too sort of geeky and far into it, where you have like Harlequin's having the piss kicked out of her all the time, and she's like how she's portrayed
I think
originally.
you'd have to introduce that character though.
Yeah, you'd have to have some sort like a sort of backstory to explain it. But then, how far down that do you go before you go? Actually, it's not a blockbuster anymore. This is turning more into like a fucking indie film because graphic novels and comic books are really intelligent pieces of art, and like things like the Avengers film are just like it's the Expendables with superheroes. It's just explosions for an hour and a half or 2 hours.
I don't think it would take too much explaining to have like a psychopathic maniac and his psychologically damaged daddy issues daughter. You know, I don't think that takes a lot more explaining than that essentially.
Yeah.
But that's you wouldn't get that at the minute anyway.
No,
Yeah,
it's too much
interesting that.
Yeah, it's quite a risk on a big budget series like this.
Yeah, I think what the thing is, I don't think it is a risk. I think the outrage mob are the minority. This is the highest grossing Warner Brothers film this year now. The Joker.
What is Joker?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So they strike while the iron's hot. Then they should do something like this now.
I'm saying people
challenging
want these films, and it's but they're getting cancelled, and people are worried about making them
Because of the social climate.
because of a small vocal minority on social media.
Yeah.
And companies take social media far too seriously.
Yeah.
It is
So-
really interesting. It's really interesting, but I think in terms of a comic book film, those things have already been written. You're not writing a fresh
Yeah.
female character
Yeah.
that is being abused by man. But
Mm-hmm.
lots of people have that film, but then it should usually ends in a place of empowerment. But this is a comic book film.
I think people should be able to make whatever they want to make, and the content will rest on their talent of getting it across.
Yep.
Yeah.
And their ability to walk. If you're going to touch like sensitive issues, like there was a video game called Hatred in 2008.
Right.
It's a perfect example of it.
Okay.
And it was a mass shooting simulator essentially, where it was a top-down thing, and it started with like your stereotypical "I hate the world, but the world's got to pay" type guy.
Right.
And he then they would then go and choose your arsenal and just walk out into a neighborhood
And just start shooting.
shooting people.
Right.
And like people went, no, this is horrible. You know, it's people are quite happy to play Grand Theft Auto, which means that you're doing kind of the same
So I was
thing.
going to say it's the same sort of thing, isn't it?
But it's not, because there's a pretty well crafted story around it.
Yeah.
But people didn't buy that video game at all. You know, it was a complete failure. So trust people enough to go, oh, hang on, this is shit.
Yeah.
This isn't right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of.
Enough rope to hang themselves. That's what people need.
Yeah. So get your ass into writing a screenplay version of good.
I can barely write
Harlequin
my
origins.
own name.
Well, you can do fucking speech to text, for Christ's sake. Excuses, Lee. This is how shit doesn't get done. Oh well, I've got to go to the gym on a Thursday, so I couldn't possibly.
Look, you know what it's like doing this. If I started doing speech to text to record something, and like an hour later I'd be like, and another fucking thing.
You got carried away. What did I? Oh, it was an anniversary of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
25 years. Pulp Fiction had 296 fucks in it.
Did it?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I reckon our podcast beaten that before.
Well, there wasn't the record with The Godfather before that.
Don't know, but I'm pretty convinced about one of our shows before I even know the answer to that.
Yeah. this could be complete lies, or but I'm going to say it so confidently that you're going to think it's true. Blink 182 got their name because The Godfather's got 182 fucks in the script.
Really?
But as I say, I think it's right. Yeah,
I like that enough to believe
I'm
it.
going to say yeah.
I like it enough to believe it. It sounds far too intelligent for any of them.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where that comes from. Another little fun fact there for you. Complete shite maybe, but
We need to get you like a jingle for your fun facts.
yeah. Where the hell are all the jingles? What are you doing all week?
Oh, sorry, mate.
Jesus, what? Ripping fucking
Tearing
wallpaper
down
down.
wallpaper.
Turned that wallpaper and
anger.
storming home.
I'm not paying you. You keep your fucking money.
Oh, I wasn't far away from that today. I'm sure of it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching Joker again now. Is it off the cinema now?
No, it's still going.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought it finished on Thursday. Oh, I might.
Hold on, maybe. Oh no, it could be because they've. I thought the next one was Doctor Sleep, but they've got a couple more before they put that.
What's Doctor Sleep?
The Shining sequel
Oh yeah.
Oh, I need to go and watch that.
Mm.
I love The Shining.
with Ewan McGregor.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
It's Danny Torrance. Yeah.
Oh, right, cool. I like Ewan McGregor as well. Sorry, I like Ewan McGregor in certain things. He's definitely an actor that lives and dies by what he's given with.
Yes.
You know, it's
Yeah.
certain actors, no matter what they do, they can be good in.
Yeah.
But he needs
Good material to
something,
work with.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This looks good though.
Does look good. I'd be scared of a Shining sequel. Was this a book?
Yeah.
It was a
only
book
came out
because
a
I
few
had
years ago.
no idea. I had no idea about it.
Yeah, it's not that old.
Oh right, okay.
It only came out a few years ago.
I like the idea that someone did a sequel to The Shining, and then within minutes, someone make the fucking film.
The book's 600 pages long. For fuck's sake, just make it into a film.
Yeah, I'm definitely keen to see it.
Yeah, just while I'm on the subject of books, I don't know. This might be a very short-lived conversation. Did anyone see who won the Booker Prize during the week there?
No.
No, okay, fuck it. We'll
Sorry.
get next question.
Oh,
No,
feel
it's just
bad
that
for not
it's for the
knowing.
no, it's fine. It's just for the first time ever they joint awarded it, first place between two books, and one of them was Margaret Atwood's Testament, who's the one who wrote The Handmaid's Tale, and so there's a lot of people saying they've just given her that because they missed the boat on The Handmaid's Tale, and they don't reckon she'll write another book again because she's knocking on a bit. So they've basically just done the other first place winner out of their proper first place because Testament came out this year.
I'd like to read Testament.
Is the
Yeah.
Handmaid's Tale TV show still about the book, or has it gone past that? Where
It went way
let's
off.
just get
It went
some
way
shows
off the
out.
book in the first series.
Did it?
Yeah.
Because I started watching that and I got a bit bored of it, so I stopped.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I remember the book ending in a way that I turned the page and was expecting there to be more.
Yeah.
It was quite a sort of, which made it a bit more harrowing, I think. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah, it leaves you on
Yeah.
and it leaves you a bit lost, really.
Yeah, very much so. And then I thought I would love the TV series, but I got quite bored of it quite quickly. Don't know.
Yeah.
I'm reading a book called Vox at the moment, which is a similar thing, and it's set in the future
Yeah, I've heard of that.
where I love dystopian novels. Set in the future, and women have to wear like it's like a Fitbit, and they're only allowed to say 100 words a day.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Otherwise, they get an electric shock. So obviously, it goes back to sort of 1950s where they have to
Yeah,
stay
yeah.
at home and whatnot. And it talks about how the kids are sort of snuck it into the curriculum by calling it a certain thing and playing on, men and women are equal in different ways, and men couldn't do this, but women do this really well
Yeah,
in a way that's basically like cooking and cleaning.
Yeah.
Um,
It's going back to the housewife.
Yeah, so and I really enjoy that sort of thing, but this book is kind of laying it out too obviously for me,
Right.
and I'm like, yeah, we get it, like it's a good concept, but it's not got me hooked yet. But yeah,
Kind of.
imagine if that happened.
Oh yeah. Well, I was going to say it's got a potential for a Black Mirror or something.
Very much so.
Um,
Yeah, I was disappointed with season 4.
I
Season 5?
liked the episode with Miley
Lee
Cyrus.
Cyrus, that was the best one. Yeah.
But even that,
I've
none
seen
of them
that.
had a twist.
That's the Nine Inch Nails one.
That
Yeah.
was the thing. Yeah.
And do you know what? I've not actually bloody watched that.
Do you know what?
Have I seen that?
Was it you that told me? because
That it was a 9 Inch Nails.
I got really confused with it. I know that.
I know. There's that whole like
Head like a hole. Yeah, they
Yeah.
properly ripped off 9 Inch Nails there. And then then even at the end, I didn't notice. Hang on.
And then 9 Inch Nails started selling the T-shirts.
Yes.
with their face on.
Oh, really?
That was it. Yeah.
Oh, no, they were all well in on it.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I think they can be. There's been a few that have been hit and miss on the old Black Mirrors, but
I think it's a bit like Inside Number 9. Like
right.
they.
Which ones didn't you like of them?
Oh no! But
Oh, right.
more recently, there isn't a twist because they've
Yes.
been like people are expecting a twist, so we're not going to write a twist. And
Yeah.
I'm like, but I really like the twist. Just
Yeah,
write
yeah.
the twist.
I think that they were so clever in the early days of Black Mirror though. Like that one with the drones and the kid that's paedophile.
Yeah. God,
That was so good. Like maybe one of the best episodes of TV of all time.
Yeah, because you sympathise with that kid
Yeah,
so
you
much, and then
little
all of a sudden you're
bastard.
just like,
You little bastard. I can just imagine you sat in there watching that. In the twist of that one line, that guy says, "How old were they?" And the rest of the nation are going, "Oh!" I can just imagine you sat there going, "You dirty little bastard!"
yeah.
But yeah, that was fantastic. And it's funny because I did they come out around the same time? Just when you say about Inside Number 9, because in my head, when I talk to people about Black Mirror, we talk about that one. You talk about the pig one. You talk about the husband that's died and she buys the robot that's supposed to be him
It was
instead.
like 2010.
Yeah.
So a while ago.
And then I always go into saying, and the one with Sheridan Smith where she's died, but that's Inside Number 9.
Yeah.
The Christmas.
Because they are
Yeah.
very similar.
And
yeah.
but it was so sad. That
I know,
one, I was like, that should have been a Black Mirror, but it was so well done. I think we've been spoiled in the past few years for really good, like good British telly.
Yeah.
As well.
Massively.
Sorry, not to sound a bit too much BMP
Yeah.
there. Good British telly.
We're all telling me like this in October.
Fucking won't be, man. But yeah,
it might be dystopian.
Oh, definitely dystopian, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I always get those. I always get those a bit confused. And then, do you ever remember the Inside Number? I think it's quite a recent one with the old entertainers, and it turns out the guy was dead at the end of it. Yeah,
they have started making them a little bit more sad.
Yeah. As opposed, well, I think it started very League of Gentlemen, where it was really dark humour. Like, or is it the first episode, the sardines one?
I love the sardines.
It's fucking brilliant, isn't it?
Have you seen Inside Number 9?
I've seen bits of it.
Right.
I've seen bits of it, and I can't remember. I think I might have been drunk at some point watching it because I can only really remember the Christmas episode.
The Krampus one. Is that
No,
one
the one where the woman's dead.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
I think I remember the Krampus one now
I
that
like
you
the
mention
Krampus,
it.
It's supposed to it's like the
It's a bad
70s horror
acting.
one. Yeah.
I watched the film Krampus, not knowing that it was like a genuine folklore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But like I watched that one film, and then it was like, if you get a red car, I just saw Krampus.
Oh, everywhere.
Everywhere.
I'd love to go to Austria for
Yeah.
Well, it's terrifying.
It does look terrifying. Going to Austria next year.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. I really wanted the film to be good, and then it kind of went wacky. Do you not reckon?
Oh, the
The American one with
where
Adam
it,
Scott in it.
it all went a little bit upside down.
Yeah.
You know, like the
Yeah.
Like in the Stranger
like in Stranger Things. Yeah. It was all weird where they were locked off from
Like
everything else.
Talking gingerbread men and whatnot.
Yeah, it was strange. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I'd quite like to watch it again, actually.
Bit
Christmas horror films. I like Christmas horror
Yeah.
films.
Yeah. We watched
Black Christmas.
Black Christmas.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. I was getting mixed up with Silent Night, Deadly Night, but yeah, we watched
Yeah.
Black Christmas last, and that was really good because with the whole not seeing the killer, and even you only see his eyes for a brief bit, and then even at the end you don't see him, you just hear his breathing and his like
Haven't seen that.
maniacal laughter.
It was alright. It was good. Yeah.
Did that have Margot Kidder in it? It was her birthday the other day.
I don't know who Margaret Kidder is.
I think she's the one that Black Christmas.
Thanks.
No, it's just that it was her birthday the other day, and so like bloody disgusting or something like "Happy birthday, Margot Kidder." Couldn't have been her birthday the other day. She's dead.
Definitely.
Fuck, she died last year.
People can die on their birthdays, Martin. It's allowed.
Of course they can. I just
It's unlucky.
yeah. I mean, I just think it would be a
Slightly
little
sad for the rest of your family forever.
yeah. What the fucking hell? Oh no! I tell you who Margot Kidder is. Oh, she was in Black Christmas. She's Lois Lane in the Christopher Reeve Superman.
Oh right, okay.
That's it. Because when we watched Black Christmas, we went, "Fuck, there's Lois
Oh,
Lane."
Margaret Kidder. I know who
Yeah.
she is.
She used to live next door. That's right.
Can we do a Christmas horror episode?
Yeah,
Christmas horror film
Yeah, definitely.
one. That'd
I
be
haven't
good.
watched Silent Night, Deadly Night in a while actually.
We were just trying to work out what our
Halloween films.
Halloween film's going to be for next weekend. You think we've got a Japanese
Oh,
horror
you
film
might
to
have
watch?
seen this.
What is it?
Fucking hell. I knew that was going to go. It is.
It's something. The Curse. To
No Roy the Curse.
No, I don't think I haven't seen
Okay.
it.
It's
It's a Japanese horror.
yeah. Yeah, so we'll give that a go. It's a little. Is it a fan footage one or just a handicap?
fan footage.
Okay.
Fan footage one.
It's hard to watch. It's hard to find scary like horror now. I think.
You know what? The Woman in Black really scared me, and I don't
Yeah.
understand because it's a 12. But they built the suspense and that sort of figure dressed in black from just far away
yeah.
enough, but also just close enough to be really unsettling.
It's because horror films have relied too much on jump scares now. So that means when you get something that has loads of tension to it,
even when I
it
think
hits you
about it,
even
like
harder.
Yeah.
her face half in darkness in a window
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. Oh,
I've
But,
seen the stage production of Woman in Black,
yeah. So yeah,
and that was fucking creepy.
grim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm not used. Well, I think as well, I wasn't used to watching horror on stage. So the atmosphere they make in that theatre, from the curtain up point, you're like, oh fucking hell, something's gonna jump out at me. Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus fucking Christ.
constantly checking over your shoulder.
And it's the same thing where she's fucking miles away for all intents and purposes on the stage. And I mean, like, we were down in the stalls watching it. But she's always that long way away, and then you just get like the flashes, and like, fuck me, she's at the front of the stage.
Yeah.
And she's still up on the stage, she's not going to come over in here. And then she disappears again, and you're like, oh my
Yeah.
god, that was.
Little bastard.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But yeah, that was. I've not seen the film, but I really enjoyed the stage production.
I'd be interested to know your opinion on the film.
Yeah.
The book
It's the-
scared me.
Yes,
The
I've got
book
I've
is
got the book. Yeah.
horrible,
Yeah.
you know.
I don't think I've ever been scared by a book. Then again, I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever read a horror book. That might be why.
Misery
Right.
gave me a moment
Yeah.
towards the end where he'd killed her, and then he writes a scene where he's in the hotel room, and she comes back, and I don't know what it was, but
Yeah.
I remember where I was when I was reading it, and it just made me like go, oh Jesus,
Oh my
like
god. Yeah.
how is she back? And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
obviously it was just a sort of hallucination.
The Shining used to scare me before I just turned into like a super fanboy of it and just enjoy looking at it.
Mhm.
That's why I went when I went to Universal Studios Horror Nights. They had a Shining
That'd be ace.
Maze.
walk, but it was completely lost on me because I was just walking around going, oh, this is ace, because they even had a little maze.
Yeah.
They had a little maze which was snowing in it,
Right.
like inside.
That's
And it was
awesome.
just, I was just walking around going, this is brilliant. And people would try and jump out and scare me like, hiya.
Oh my god, it's you. Yeah, absolutely fanboying all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you get like a good horror novel. I know, like, obviously Stephen King's written hundreds of books now, and so you can't have hits every time. But like when he nails it on, and I think the concentration that you have when you're reading and you've conjured up the scenes and the people's faces and everything in your head, you become really attached.
Yeah.
To these people, I think like thrillers, stuff, even like some like crime novels, you can turn them into horrors in your head.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you get really tense.
Stephen King films never get the budget they deserve, I think. Like, there's so many hot, like,
But maybe that's what makes them so
hacky.
good, though.
maybe.
And a lot of his big ones were like 70s and 80s
Mm.
when before. Like, I wonder now. I'm surprised that those two that they did on like Gerald's Game. And
Yeah.
Is it 1922?
Yeah,
Or yeah,
something like that.
I'm surprised that they weren't put. I didn't mind Gerald's Game, but I think it could have been done better with. So what I mean is making them now with the quality of camera and things that you've got. So you look back on things like Carrie and The Shining and stuff because it was done on old film. Is there a bit of a charm to them because they were done on those old film, or
Yes.
are they just really, really good films that if you restored them into 4K, they'd still be brilliant now? Or are you just sort of looking back? Do you know what I mean? Are you
I've said
thinking
loads of
fondly
times
of
it's
them
the
because of the film? Yeah.
I love that old film.
The Stand.
Right, the TV show.
Yeah, well, but it was put on like a double film
Yeah,
thing, wasn't it?
yeah.
I mean, how that didn't have more of a budget. Than
Yeah,
it
yeah.
did.
Well, yeah, that definitely should have.
Yeah.
But wasn't that was I always remember that being on Sky One over about a bloody month.
Yeah, but I'm
But I
almost.
can't remember who the production company
I'm
was.
almost convinced it was released at the same time as like a double VHS film.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's alright. No, it's alright. Go on.
Did you see Finner?
Yes, that's something I really liked.
No.
That.
Did you?
Yeah.
That came across a bit kind of comedy.
Yeah,
yeah.
but it was good. Have you seen
It was
Clown?
No, I haven't seen Clown.
Clown's pretty good.
Okay.
The one about the guy who
Not
dressed up as a
Clown.
clown for the kid's birthday party.
And it turns him into a child killer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a short film.
Was it?
That was so good. That was so well received online. They made it into a feature film.
Yeah, no, the film's great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Did you hear that? Apparently, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker was based on was it Pogo the Clown, the serial killer?
The John Wayne Gacy one. Is that?
Yes.
That's who Pennywise
yeah, I
is
can,
based
I
on
can
as
see it in the
well,
makeup.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, based his makeup on.
Yeah.
Yeah, John
Him.
Wayne Gacy one. Yeah, that's what Tim Curry's
Ah,
Pennywise was based on anyway.
Tim Curry.
But yeah, old John Wayne Gacy, like he's just a little that crazy guy down the road. No, he was
Scamp.
naughty.
Yeah.
He wasn't just a crazy old man.
That's a good thing to learn for anybody, I think, that if you try and give your child a celebrity's name inside their name,
Yeah.
bad things will happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I think I could convince some people to name their kid Gacy. Like Casey, yeah, like
Yeah.
Casey, but Gacy.
Although
That's been a big inspiration for a lot of film, though. Now I think about it, because I think Leatherface was inspired by Gacy, and he's one of the ones that Norman Bates is
Oh really?
about as well.
I do know someone's surname is Knight, and I'm always
His surname's Nike.
Knight.
Oh right.
And,
Okay.
I'm always
Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't quite mean to put as much emphasis on the T then, like I was telling you off.
No, it was needed.
Open your ears.
It's the difference between being named after a trainer and being named after fucking David Hasselhoff.
Well, this is the thing. I
Don't tell me his name's fucking Michael.
No, it
Alright.
should be though, shouldn't
Should
it?
we?
If your surname's Knight and you have a son and you don't call your son Michael, there's
Yeah.
something wrong with you.
There's a guitar pedal company called Realtone Effects that's based over here, and the guy's name is Mike McKnight.
So close.
Like Scottish Knight Rider, though, isn't he?
Aye.
Yeah.
Or just like a chain. A chain
Yeah.
of Michael Knights.
Yeah. That'd be great, mate. And that's got quite a good like film hero thing to it, because you be like phones ring, it's like Mike Knight.
But Knight Rider was a rubbish concept when you think
Fuck off.
about it. It was a rubbish concept. He was not a policeman. He was not a
No.
Secret Service agent.
No,
Nobody really knows what he was doing or why he was given a magic talking car.
he was the original Iron Man. He was just a rich busybody.
Did Knight Rider escape you?
I've never watched Knight Rider.
No.
I know lots of people love it.
It was a bit like the A-Team and
It was better than the 80s.
Airwolf and what was Knight Rider but with a motorbike called?
Street Hawk.
That's right, that was shit.
Yeah, it was awful.
What age was it targeted at?
Probably me.
I would
At
say.
that point, they
like
just
10-year-olds,
made it
really.
for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh right. Okay.
Although it was one of these Saturday afternoon ones or
Yeah.
Saturday sort of evening ones that like the parents could sit down and watch. But like Columbo,
Yeah.
a little bit, I guess. But
Yeah,
because it had a
Columbo with
talking car in
explosions.
it, it was for kids.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like the
Got
18
you.
and stuff. And what was the
I
other
hate
one?
Columbo.
Fuck off! What's wrong with you? You're telling me you hate Father Dowling Investigates now?
What?
Do you not remember that one?
No.
I used to spend a lot of time with my grandma. So
Didn't
don't
we
fucking
all?
pity me. You didn't have sex with my grandma. She's fucking deadly.
Oh my god, this is such a dark turn.
The Father Dowling Mystery.
She wasn't when I was
Yeah. That is not the line that you should have used. Just in case you find yourself in that position again. This is from a film that the Wayans brothers were in, right? And he was like, "I fucked your mum," right? And he's like, "My mom's dead," right? And so you think it was like, "Ooh," and then the guy, I think it's Marlon Wayans, turns around and goes, "Oh, maybe that's why she made me do all the work."
Oh no.
That was Father Dowling Mysteries and Sister Stephanie. So obviously,
Oh, yes.
it
I
was
remember
basically
that.
Murder She Wrote, but with priests.
Yeah.
Yeah, Murder She Wrote was
The
another
guy
cracking
on the
one.
left looks like a serial killer.
He could have been. Dowling's the one in the middle looking all authoritative. Oh god, yeah, he does look a bit like... He kind of looks a... No, actually, that's doing an injustice. I was going to say Niles Crane went to the priesthood. But nothing bad shall ever be said about the TV show Frasier because it was fucking perfect.
Yeah, Frasier's one of those ones that escaped me. When that was on, I never paid any attention to it, and then it was gone. Same with Cheers.
I used to say I was a big Cheers fan
Yeah.
as a kid.
It
Loved
was
Cheers.
always a bit above me.
Right,
Cheers. I just there wasn't enough fart jokes
right.
for me at the time.
That was the like one of the Channel 4 ones because you had Cheers and you had the Golden Girls as well.
Yeah.
Fucking great stuff. Sorry.
The only time I'd ever watch Frasier was when I was working in a hotel room cleaning. I just put the TV on.
Okay, yeah.
But I
So you
didn't.
did the Channel 4 in the mornings?
Yeah,
Was it, yeah?
but I didn't enjoy it. Sorry.
Did you know that? That's quite alright. Everyone's allowed their flaws. Pretty much perfect
It's all right.
every other way.
Aw.
All you get now is everybody love Raymond. You'd kill for Frasier now.
Yes. Everyone loves Raymond. Shit Home Improvement.
Yes.
He's a shit
Yeah.
improvement. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I was listening to there's an Ace podcast called Refigure. That's Chris TT and his wife Reefa TT. Yeah. They basically just chat about what they've done during the week, and so because like she works with in like the tech industry, and she goes and does talks and things about like tech and stuff. And Chris is a musician and a writer, so they're always off doing fucking interesting things and stuff. And so one of the recent episodes is that they sat down and rewatched all of Seinfeld. And the way that they describe it, I was like, I never caught on to Seinfeld when it was first on, because that was on Sky One as well, and I was a bit like, oh, didn't really fancy it. But I think I'm gonna have to sit down and watch it all now.
Yeah.
Because they just like basically said it was fucking brilliant, and I really like Curb Your Enthusiasm. So and this is obviously the same guy that wrote it. Well, it's based on him, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
That like Larry David plays himself in Curb Your Enthusiasm,
Yeah.
and so they play on the fact that like, oh, you're the guy that wrote Seinfeld. So yeah, and I know it was absolutely massive too, but they were saying that it was actually a bit cleverer than something like Friends, which was also another massive sitcom about a group of friends living in an apartment block in Manhattan. But this was like just a bit more like subversive and a bit more like intelligent in the jokes and things that they made. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to give that a go again. So just in case you're wondering where I'll be for the next year and a half, I'll be watching like 20 fucking seasons of Seinfeld.
Have you seen what I would class as hullabaloo about the
don't know
Friends
why.
photograph?
No.
Oh,
No,
I've seen the photograph.
Yeah, yeah. Well, everyone's seen the photograph of them all together. Go, oh, something's happening. And then one with a keen eye turned and said, "Isn't that a mirror on the table with about 6 lines on it?"
Oh, really? I need to fucking look at this again.
I haven't seen this picture.
It's them all like together taking
Yeah.
a selfie.
Oh, okay.
In their like as they are now, just
Yeah.
present.
Probably celebrating doing a one-off special where they're all going to make $10 million
That's
each.
ridiculous.
She's. I told you about the deal with that, didn't I? When they were in the show,
You did, but I've forgotten.
they got everyone knows that they got $1 million an episode
Yeah.
each.
Oh my goodness.
What a lot of people don't realise is that they were given shares in the rights
Yes.
to the
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Right.
So since the show finished, each one of them has earned $20 million a year since it finished.
Incredible, isn't it?
Jennifer Aniston's worth $200 million.
That's crazy. That's
And you-
an obscene amount of money.
It's an insane amount of money, isn't it? But
Yeah.
it's like you wonder why. Like Joey does Top Gear, and it's just like I don't give a fuck
Yeah,
about
yeah.
what the car's like. I just
It's
do
even
this.
more insane when you think Ross has earned that too.
I know, yeah. Did she put it up on? There it is. There's not a load of lines of coke on that fucking table.
I know. I'm not saying there is. I'm saying that's the hoo ha.
Well, you might as well say
I'll
there's
bring
a
it down from a hullabaloo.
fucking massive haggis on the table as well.
What? Yeah, I can easily see that somebody thinks
That reflection on that plate is a load of lines of coke.
yes.
Yeah.
I-
Someone's a fucking moron then.
You'd have to do a zoomy zoom. I know. I can see how someone thinks that might be a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Could be. They look very happy.
I'm sure they are. They're worth fucking $1 billion between them. There's one billionaire in that photo. For a fucking TV show that ran for 20 odd seasons and that recycled the jokes after about season 6.
You giving them season 6?
Yeah.
It's a massive comfort comedy, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's
It is.
absolutely.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
it's exactly how it ended up being. It's Channel 4 on Sunday mornings for
Yeah.
American
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah,
That's the perfect way to describe it.
yeah. No, it's brilliant, and it was fucking massive at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't aged that well. I'll be
No.
honest, but that's another thing that I want to see about Seinfeld because apparently it still works like now because it was a bit more obvious that like you've got someone like Kramer was this mad guy living in the same apartment block that Seinfeld was in, who he was playing himself, so he was a successful comedian in the 90s, and you go, how can he afford to live in the same block as that guy?
Yeah.
And the future Vice President of America was living in there as well.
Was he?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. If you've ever seen Veep.
No.
No, okay. Fuck it. She plays the Vice President.
Right. Okay.
Very funny.
That's what I'm
Armando
confused.
Iannucci comedy. Yeah.
Veep.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
And Anna Chlumsky's in it
I don't know who this is.
from off of the girl from My Girl.
I've never watched My Girl because everyone says it's really traumatizing.
It made me cry when I was a little child.
Yeah. Culkin gets
Yeah.
stung to death by bees.
Yeah.
Oh, does he actually?
Oh, why? Yeah. Oh, why?
yeah.
Oh, does he?
And she.
That is fucking traumatizing.
I just know that she has that line, "Oh, he can't see without his glasses" or something.
Yeah.
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 Oh, I'll cry so much at that.
And do you know what? Actually, now I think about it,
Tell you
that
what you can
line is
see.
sadder than him dying.
What?
That line's sadder
Than him dying.
than the scene where he dies, which is pretty bloody traumatic, actually.
Yeah, it was.
Shit in hell. But yeah,
Watch this.
yeah.
What's the most you've cried at in a film?
What's the most I cried at in a film?
Yeah.
Do you know what used to make me cry? And you'll probably laugh at this. And I don't know why, because it wasn't even a sad film. But the Madonna song that's in A League of Their Own.
Oh, really?
And every time I heard that, I thought the
How
film was a lot
bizarre.
sadder than it actually was. And
Yes,
I don't know why.
it does have a kind of
Because it's got that thing at the end where they
melancholic sound.
have all the photos of them when they were younger, and it like implies
And some of
that
them
they're
have
all
died.
dead. Yeah. And that, and I wouldn't find it sad when I watched the film, but then anytime I heard the song afterwards, I was like, oh, that's
right.
really.
That's an odd one,
strange.
that.
I know, but that's just one that jumps to mind because there's not many films that I've
Cried at.
cried at. I remember feeling quite sad watching Powder. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's about a guy who's like an albino, and he gets bullied, but it turns out he conducts electricity, and he blows himself up in the end to save the village from being hit by lightning, basically. And I remember that being quite sad. And obviously, I didn't cry during it because it just fucking emptied me. It was like every void of any emotion. Dead Man's Shoes.
Yeah, I can't remember that. I watched it in uni.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like just when you. Well, I mean, it's like if you've seen it before, it's when you find out that basically the guy hung himself at the end, and you're like, oh Jesus Christ, and then the credits just go up like a good death on a soap. Where there's no exit music, there's no outro music. It's just the credits.
Yeah.
Proper
Remember
respect
it being
there.
like a
Harold
gut
Bishop.
punch.
Yeah. 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 Harold Bishop died on
That's the
Neighbours.
neighbour's character.
Right,
He got
okay.
swept away into the
Yeah.
ocean.
He did, and then he came back.
He did come back
Of course.
with amnesia.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wrote that one. Trying to think of other like sad ones that I can't really think of any that like stand out as being sad. What? Oh, how about you?
Oh God, I've cried at everything.
You cry at everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
But like things that genuinely make you sad, or because you get swept up in the moment.
Perfect Storm made me cry a lot because
Right,
George
okay.
Clooney was just floating in the sea, waiting to die.
Yeah.
Like reading out this sort of poem in his head to his wife.
Yeah.
That was horrible. I'm trying to think of ones where I've really sobbed. I mean, I can cry at like Miss Congeniality if you catch me on a long day. I'd probably
Sorry.
cry at it today.
Right.
Oh, she looks so fabulous.
But that's not like a sad cry.
No,
though.
no.
Do you know what I mean?
I
Like
cried
a really like.
Genuinely sad, not from the film, but I cried all the way quite like sporadically through the last Lord of the Rings film because I was sad there was going to be no more. Which
Okay.
is
Wow.
really nerdy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sweet hobbit coming your way.
I know.
But I remember my cousin being like, "Why are you crying?" And it was just like, "Oh,
It's the end of an
Yeah.
journey. But how long was that film series? Like the Harry Potter ones would take up a lot of your
Yeah.
life, and so it's been with you for a lot
about
of your life.
4 years."
Oh, so it wasn't
maybe
too bad.
longer.
No, because they
Okay.
they film them back to back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
like
So
a big
it's a quick
stretch.
release, right?
Yeah.
So because I can understand sometimes with like people who were kids and now they're adults and they've grown up with like
it,
Harry
yeah.
Potter or something,
Mm.
and when that comes to an end, I guess it could be quite like
Mm.
traumatizing in a way
Yeah.
because it's sort of like the end of your childhood.
Yeah.
A little bit, but yeah. I always remember there's a film called Wicker Park that
Rings a bell.
I for some reason remember that being sad, but I don't remember why. And then all I remember is that there's a Mogwai song in it, and the guy's running around somewhere, and I think he's trying to find like his girlfriend or someone, and that Mogwai song is playing during it, and that's the only thing I ever remember about it. But that sort of stands out for some reason. And then I laughed my tits off at the Robert Pattinson film where you actually find out that he's in one of the Twin Towers.
Oh yeah. What's that called?
That's like, you dozy bastard. This is not going to end well for you. Yeah, well, I can't remember what it was called, but that was supposed to be a real, like, weepy
No,
kind of one.
yeah. I didn't cry at that.
No.
Lee?
Would you cry at the idea of Robert Pattinson dying in the Twin Towers?
No, I think it would be the fantastic end to that and Quantum Leap. If Robert
That would be a great end. Jesus Christ, imagine that as an end to Quantum Leap. Fucking hell. That should have been a film by now. Oh, I tell you what we need to watch. If you're up for watching a film that is terrible,
Yeah.
fan-made Quantum Leap, A Good Day to Die.
Awesome, yeah.
He leaps to Paris in that fateful day to try and save Princess Diana. Real fan-made film. You can buy it and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, A Good Day to Die.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'll watch that.
No, I don't really get upset for sad parts of films.
What about Toy Story 3?
No. I like animation won't get me sad. Won't
Okay,
get me
okay.
crying. But
You got Watership Down, man.
any,
I think we're a bit too
What's
young
that?
for that, though.
what Watership Down.
That was traumatising, that film.
It was bloody traumatizing.
Horrible.
No, I watched it. I don't remember feeling anything when I watched
Right.
it. But since having Arthur, I'm a sucker for moments of heroism and dad moments right now.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
That absolutely ruins me.
Like what?
Just anything involving
Being
a
a parent.
a father helping his son, or like saving them, or there being a oh, I love you, Dad moment.
Like, what about The Pursuit of Happiness?
What's that?
Oh,
With
that
Will
would
Smith
have you
and
in
Jaden Smith. That's
fucking
pretty
tears.
much all the film is.
No, I couldn't watch it. Like I can't stick either of them on screen together when I see them in interviews.
But yeah, that would. He's homeless with his son.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, it is a
Living
very
in,
good
like, a
film. He
public
got
toilet
nominated
and
for an
things.
Oscar for it.
Yeah.
It is good. But
That's a good show. I'd love to see Lee cry.
I don't like Jaden Smith. I shouldn't say I can't
comes
stick
across
to
very
them.
cocky.
Yeah, he comes across really, really stupid.
Really?
Yeah, really stupid. Like
He's
he
the
didn't-
Fresh Prince's son. He can be as cocky as he
No,
wants.
no, I think that's it. I think there's at some point, if someone's gone, he doesn't need to be smart. He's got all the money.
yeah. And he will do. How much is Will Smith worth?
Oh, this is hundreds of millions.
Excluding how much Jada Pinkett's worth. Are they still together?
I don't know.
Yes, I think so.
Jaden Smith and Justin Bieber came to Chilfat once when I was on
Wow.
slope duty.
Did
They were dressed up in like hoodies that came over their heads and zipped up like up
Oh,
their
really?
face. Yeah. So yeah, they came and did a few.
It was just like watching two like duvets ski.
It was like watching the KKK ski. Like he had this white hood zipped up. I was just like watching, just like he's kicking his back foot. He shouldn't kick his back foot.
Bieber, not your back foot. Yeah, you're gonna you'll smash that beautiful face.
I feel sorry for Justin Bieber
Why?
because I can't imagine, I don't
Why?
think you do. No, I can't imagine what that must be like to do to be a product instead of being a person,
Right, yeah.
and then to get to how was he's like 30 now.
I don't know.
There
Is
must
he
be
not?
Maybe
yeah,
a little bit
yeah.
younger than me.
There must be a moment where you. I think this is why you see so many of them happen breakdowns. You're like chart stars, where their intellect sort of catches up with what they've done beforehand, and they go, "Oh,
25.
shit, fuck off."
And his agent is called Scooter Braun.
Lame.
His agent has either abused Bieber or has been abused by someone. Scooter!
Yeah, being given that name.
Yeah. Hey, it's Scooter here. Yeah, it's like calling your child Doomsday, isn't it?
Are we going to wrap up?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah, it's my bedtime. Oh no, we're going to fucking start watching a film now. It's 20 to about 11.
Wouldn't have thought so, mate.
No.
Seems far too late for that sort of stuff now.
Fuck it, we'll have a bye this week.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to go. People watch the live stream. Thank you if you're watching or still watching.
Forgot that was recording.
Yeah.
Shit.
All those racist and anti-Semitic things you said. Damn it.
That doesn't matter. They can usually hear it.
But now they can
But
see the face.
I know, yeah. Now they can see that I'm not smiling, I'm genuinely, oh god, bloody Jews. Yeah.
Right, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.